Hello everyone. Welcome back. Coming up, we have an interesting session which is acknowledging women's contribution in the Python community through podcast. We have four tremendous speakers: Cheuk, Tereza, Mariatta, and Georgi. Please welcome with a big round of applause.
Okay, so yeah, welcome everybody today to our talk about acknowledging women's contributions in the Python community through podcast, where we are going to present our podcasts. So the first question of the day: who here likes listening to podcasts? There's quite a lot of hands. Who here has never listened to a podcast in their life? Nobody. Okay, cool. So there are 464 million podcast listeners in the world, so you're not alone. And we have another question. You can really shout out loud. Do you have any favorite Python podcasts?
Python Girls podcast.
Okay, and also PyPodcasts, I heard.
Talk Python to me.
Talk Python to me. What?
What?
That? What? Pizza de dados?
Pizza de dados.
Pizza de dados. Good. So the thing is that there are a lot of spaces where diversity and inclusion in Python is explicitly on the agenda. For example, PyCon events where we have the charlas and dedicated spaces. We have dedicated communities like PyLadies, Django Girls, Djangonaut, and also a lot of work groups. The DISC from NumFocus or the DNI group from PSF. And this has shown some results over the years. So at PyCon US, we've had from 1% women speakers in 2011, a growth to 2016 to 40%. This year is a little bit working, it could be better. So we have 24% women and non-binary speakers. We're going to do it better next year, I'm sure. But somehow, in the Python podcast space, we haven't really kept with the times. We have realized that most of the podcasts out there have a lot of male speakers. And Mariatta did a study that she's going to present right now.
All right. So yes, when we were starting this project, we were wondering because personally I noticed it myself. I found that when a new episode comes out, it seems like it's another male speaker being invited again and again, but we don't actually have data to any data at all actually. So I decided, and I also didn't want it to be just maybe it's just in my head. Maybe I'm biased or something. So I decided to collect some data. So what I did is that I went through using three different search engines and look up for Python podcast, and these are the three podcasts that show up in the search result. And these podcasts are all have been running for years, so they are not just brand new podcasts still starting up, but these are well established programs. Each of these podcasts have more than 100 episodes, and they've been going for many years. And I analyzed their episodes throughout the years. All of them comes out to be 666 episodes. It was coincidence to be that number. Um, Out of those 666, only 117 episodes have women invited speakers, and so that's about 17%. And it's not that there are 117 different women who appear. There actually some of the women appear multiple times. So there are actually less than 100 different women out of 550 all speakers. So that is kind of low percentage. And you can actually, we publish this data using data sets, which is a project by Simon Willison. So you can actually scan this and look at the data. You will see what are the numbers that we come up with. And this just brings a question like why are the women not being invited to appear on the podcast? Are they just no women? Which I do not believe. And I feel like there's something else going on there. And I don't believe there's no women at all. When I came to PyCon US the first time, I saw lots of amazing women. There was a room full of PyLadies, more than 100. So I think Georgie will discuss more about this.
Thank you. So let's just put it this really simple. Maybe people don't really know the female speakers or they have no idea who they are. So we say, you know what? Just think about the most popular Python group, female groups here, the PyLadies. And we actually have over 250 chapters. 250 chapters around the world. So if we're not talking about people who attend all these PyLadies events and the team members, if we just invite one single founder to a podcast, we will have over 250 episodes. So do we actually have lesser female speakers? I don't think so. And is this a problem? Is this affecting, female developers, female programmers, and Pythonistas? According to Paramount research, this is actually a problem because the effects of poor representation runs deep, affecting number one, your self-esteem and confidence. Number two, sense of belonging. And number three, opportunities in your life. And we think like, okay, is this actually causing every one of us and affecting us? And is it true? Judging from all the podcasts that so far we had, I think we have like so far 5 episodes, not including episode 0, which is us. It seems like all our podcast guests did have a quote somehow or another that having better confidence, having support does change what decision you make in life. So you can see here we have a couple of quotes here. Having my mentor support changed my life. I got involved because even though I was new, I feel that I was not being tested. I'm pretty sure every one of us, whether you're male or female, you felt that way. So and the other quote, when I saw the first female keynote speaker, Lynn Root, I tell myself it's a sign. And I launch it after that. Can you see how powerful it is? Even when and this another one, even when I was really young, the community was very supportive and they make me feel welcome. And that was what gave me the confidence to continue. So we personally feel that this is so important to bring this up to help draw more attention to female developers, to let everyone know that there are representation of female developers out there and female Pythonistas out there that actually make an impact. And we really want to show that with all these people bring up into the spotlight, you could actually be more confident and you feel that you belong somewhere. So I'm going to pass this to Cheuk.
Hi, I'm Cheuk. Hi. Yeah. So there we are. it's actually the first time the four of us are in the same place physically together, and so yay! Because yeah, we all know each other. We talk to each other online, but it's the first time the four of us are standing next to each other, which is very touching. So when actually the idea of Piper Cats, well, first of all, this sticker Piper Cats originally is from Mariatta's, typo of the day idea, but we stole it. But the podcast idea, it was started last year at PyCon US, when I see that there are lots of people, they are now like inviting guests and like filming them and filming some podcast episodes, and I realized that a lot of the invited guests are your typical, what people think developers are like, kind of look. So I think we we can highlight people that are actually doesn't fit in that stereotype, that are underrepresented. So I pitched the idea first to Georgie, then to Mariatta, and then to Tereza. So we formed the group and we start working. So we want to highlight the voices of underrepresented groups. So we need a name. So I ask these three ladies here what name we should name our series of podcasts. And then we come up with the name The Hidden Figures of Python. Who have seen the movie of The Hidden Figures? Woo, quite a lot of you. So I hope you remember in the movie it was actually about three black women actually, and at that time, it's still, they have a very hard time, even if they work for NASA. They do a lot of very important work to support the mission to conquer the space. They can't even like comfortably use the bathroom because the bathroom was separated and they can't use it. And so in the movie, it kind of bring back these figures that has contributed a lot to our human society, to our advancement in science, that could be forgotten. I think that, for example, Wikipedia, there's actually a lot of effort of the people trying to add pages, like feature pages on Wikipedia about like female scientists, female inventors, like, because if we don't do it, then all this contribution by underrepresented folks will be forgotten. Recently, I also watched another amazing movie. It's about a black French musician. It's Cavalier. Who have watched that as well? Cavalier? No? Yes, some of you should watch it. It's really good. So these people, they actually, so that musician actually, again, like his work has been forgotten because of the revolution and all the things. But these people contribute so much. But if we don't protect it, they could be forgotten in history. So we don't want that to happen to our community. That's why we want to highlight this amazing work done by underrepresented folks. But because our guests are from the underrepresented community, we want to make sure that they feel welcome and comfortable in our podcast. So we have done something to, make sure that we can do that. First of all, we would do, we'll schedule a meeting, pre-recording meeting with our guests. We would, have a little chat, get to know each other, kind of, understand what experience they have, what achievement they have in the community, and, set out some like questions that we would ask them during the actual recording. We'll also do some tech check to make sure that, their, technical setup at home is working. So we also made the decision that we won't do live stream because for me personally, I've done in the past some like live stream podcasting during the pandemic. It was fun, but we decided for this series of podcasts, we will only be produce recorded videos and and audios, because the guests can have the freedom of freely talk about whatever they want to talk about at the moment, and then if they realize that some of the things they don't want to disclose, they can ask us to edit it out to not be included. we also make sure that we would, invite the guests to do a final review for the episode before we publish it, to make sure that they are comfortable with the end result of the podcast episode. To be more inclusive for the audience, what we have done, and thanks Mariatta for doing that. She has been, the release manager for our podcast, and she makes sure that all the videos are subtitled and captioned, so that we can have more accessibility in all our episodes. So where are we now? So the idea started last year, around a year time in the past. So we now actually have 4 episodes available that now you can just download and go to our website and watch it and see it on the PSF YouTube channel. So I will give you a brief introduction. So the first episode is the 4 of us talking about why we started the podcast. So basically kind of like, the talk, but, a few months ago. We were just sitting together, not in person, but online, and talking about, why we're doing this. And then we will have our first real episode. So first real episode with Johanna Jablonski. So she did a lot of amazing job of in contributing to the documentation of CPython, and have been a leader in a community. Unfortunately, she's not attending in person this year. Otherwise, I would love to see her and meet her. And then the second episode, we have a little bit of change of scenery. We go all the way to Latin America. So our guest is actually from Colombia. We have Carolina Radino. She is a leader in the community in Colombia. She has been leading the PyLadies chapter in Colombia for years. She also helped in organizing PyCon Colombia, and very lovely lady. So we had the chat with her in our second episode. And then the third episode, we go to Europe. So we're kind of traveling around the world with the guests. So the third episode, we have Vicky Toma Lee. She lives in Dublin. She actually she has been running PyLadies Dublin for a long, long time. She also have been, a leader in the community there. Has been trying to bring EuroPython to Dublin, and now, still help. Have been in the board of EuroPython, and now still help organizing EuroPython. So it was, a lovely, lovely time to chat with her. So the next episode, episode 4, which is going to be released next week. So are you excited? Yes? Yes? Yes! So the special thing about episode 4 is that our special guest, Jessica Tenya, is actually here at the front. Woo! And I always say that she had a very special experience that I cannot imagine. And she's so smart as well. She gave a talk at the Maintainer Summit. She maintained Pipe Dogs, and very, very smart lady here. So please, if you have time, come and talk to her after the talk. So we will also give you a little bit of the teaser at the end of our talk as well. So that would be next week. You will see the full episode. Episode 5, I'm not going to disclose the guest yet because it's still, we still have a month to release it. And it's a special guest. So this time we go all the way to the APAC region. We have someone from Philippines, and please look forward to that episode, but that will be next month. Woo! So finally, I would pass the mic back to Tereza, and she will tell you how you can support us.
But before I go there, Cheuk forgot to say, and you're probably wondering why we are starting with our episode at 0. Nobody's wondering, right? Python, right? Yeah, so we started. Okay, so how can you get involved? Of course, please do listen to the stories of our guests and share them with your communities. Share them on LinkedIn, share them at work, highlight and tell people how you got inspired by their stories. Become an ally. Make space around you. Make the spaces around you more welcoming and inclusive. So even if you are part of the majority, doesn't mean that you can't help. So educate yourself what it means to become an ally, and try to, you know, do the little things and then the bigger things. And then also make space for diversity in your communities. Donate to the PSF, because the PSF is then giving us a grant to cover the cost for our podcast. And anything else? If you, of course, if you know someone that you think should be on our podcast, nominate. You have on our website this options. And yeah, and attend more diversity and inclusion talks at the conferences you're going to. Because, of course, the people from underrepresented communities in tech attend the events, but it's the people that are allies who have the most power and privilege to use their privilege to help others. So you can always drop us an email at our awesome email address, meow@pypodcast.live. We really went with it. We have some stickers. So, and we also have some time for questions, or
we
no,
will
the
play
episode.
yeah.
We play the episode,
The teaser.
the teaser, and
Yay! So let's do the sequence. The Pie Podcasts. It's to highlight. How did you first get in contact with a computer?
I was 5 or 6 when I started playing
What?
age-appropriate. I want to say age-appropriate video games. It was age-appropriate. I tried writing my first program in Python that just did something simple. I myself is totally blind, so I wanted to make a text editor where I could control the visual formatting. I read approximately twice as fast as an average human reader. I read around 600 to 700 words a minute. I've never seen a conference where they have this accessibility info readily available for what they do with people that has physical disabilities. I just wish that information was more readily available. Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Tyner. I am an open source maintainer. I maintain the popular Python project PyPandoc. I'm also a computer science student, and I am a conference speaker, and I've traveled around the world doing conferences on everything from open source to diversion and inclusivity. Hope to catch you all in the next episode of Hidden Figures of Python at Pi Podcasts.
thank you.
Thank you. Please come and chat with us at any time. Yeah.
Are you taking questions?
I think we can take questions while we are, in person on the floor. So, yeah. We have time. Do you want to take questions, though? Okay, we can take questions.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually do have a practical one. So, as you know, Cheuk Ting, that I run a podcast. You've been on it, actually. I try really hard to make sure that there's good representation, and I was actually, while you're talking, I was actually counting, and actually about half of our guests actually have been female, so woo. But one of the challenges I have is when I'm trying to reach out to women in tech. I know a lot. I lean heavily on my network, but then as soon as I'm trying to get outside of my network, I hit a wall because I know a lot of ladies in tech have to shut off all of their public contact points because of harassment. So it makes it really hard for me as a podcaster to reach out. What are some ways you recommend that I can find people who are available to be guests, when the usual means can sometimes be hard to use?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we have actually put thoughts into it. We, as women ourselves, we understand that, as a underrepresented groups, we could be vulnerable, especially like in an online environment. So one of the choices we made is that we deliberately say disable the comment sections in the videos. If people have feedbacks, they can email us, they can talk to us, but like, because we understand that a lot of times the space online, since people sometimes can hide behind an identity, they could sometimes, do something that they won't do in real life and say things that they won't say in your face. So yeah, so we have also do that. And anything to add?
Yeah, so I would like to add on to that. It's something very important that I think everyone who tries to do something new, especially when you feel that you are not in the same group, so you recognize that this is a problem. So you have to be intentional to make it safe for everyone who is there. I mean, it doesn't mean that we are all females here, but it doesn't mean that we are not attending any male events. It's totally fine, but we need to feel welcome, and there are little things that you could do. And some of the things that I feel that happened before is that, for example, giving a talk, inviting a female speaker online, on stage. It could be possible that you can just provide an optional choice for the speaker to say, would you like to do a FAQ, like question and take questions after the talk, because they might not be comfortable, and sometimes you might feel really intimidating when someone just start pushing questions and you're not ready to think about how to answer, and intentionally providing a more confident space for the person. It doesn't mean that this speaker will not be able to take it right now for any questions, but perhaps over time, when she speaks more and she will feel more confident, and she'll be able to do the next step and be ready to take more questions. Yeah. Yep.
I also wanted to follow up the fact that you asked about, sometimes you reach out and maybe they're not responding and they don't want to,
Can't even find the contact.
they want one, or you could not find the contact. And that is something for me, I learned, I just have to build my network. Sometimes if I don't know them, maybe this is kind of a privilege now that because I go to many communities, I make lots of connections. Sometimes it's just, I think I know somebody who knows somebody. And I think what I try to do is really show that I really, really want them to come to my conference, to my event, showing effort that not only I send them email, I ask to be connected maybe through Georgie. Georgie, can you introduce me with this person or whoever? Find other people within the community who knows them and try really showing the effort that we are sincere, we try. And the other thing that I would like to suggest, and sometimes I think it's also something I mentioned earlier in my opening keynote, or not keynote, opening message, sometimes if you see a community isn't already, you don't see anyone like you yet, it's really, really hard for them to want to join. They don't know what to expect. They don't know whether you're really inviting just because you just want another woman, or you really think that I'm really interesting, or I really have something interesting that you want to hear about. And that is a difficult barrier. Personally, what I found is that if I've seen this community have shown examples of how they are inclusive, they include other people who look like me, that makes it easier for me to trust them, wanting to also help. So maybe that's something to think about. I think I know the first time will be difficult, but you need to continue the effort. I hope that we answered your questions. I think we are out of time.
Yeah, so sorry, we are running out of time, but I know there's a lot of questions, so please, talk to us. If you're in the conference room, if you're not, you feel free to drop us an email, connect with us on social media, and lovely to chat with you. Thank you.